What is up, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to RPG Kickstart, a series where I talk about all things RPG related. I want to talk about a couple of things today. One is a tip that I use to get me through a particular task that sometimes I enjoy and sometimes I don't. Depends on how the nature of the game. Well, I'll just tell you. Sometimes I don't enjoy character creation, but sometimes I do. It depends how detailed you have to be up front. Some games require you to be very detailed right from the get-go. Others are really simple. You can roll up a character in 5 minutes and you can develop the character as you go, and not lose any of your core game mechanics. Examples of this spring to mind. An example of a more complicated character creation system from the get-go, I would say, would be Dungeons and Dragons, or at least 5th edition. It's fairly complex. It takes you more than 5 minutes to roll up a character in Dungeons and Dragons. There's all sorts of things to consider. Not just what character class you want to play. You got to decide on your race, and then try to get all your stats together. Then you got to go through your backgrounds and your archetypes and personality things and flaws, traits, all sorts of stuff, right? As opposed to something like I don't know, the old storyteller games like Werewolf and Vampire, first and second edition, anyway. That said, I don't know what the newer editions are like, if they're more complex. I'll come on to that in a minute. That's quite a good link, actually, because, I will talk about that. But anyway, the first thing, so as you know, I'm looking to start a solo campaign with D&D. And it takes someone like me, particularly with my brain, the way it's laid out, it takes me ages to roll up a character for that. And I don't necessarily enjoy it, as opposed to a system that you can do in minutes. I don't mind that. Because I can chop and change, I can try things out, at a whim, on the simpler ones. But to come back to D&D for just a moment. Once the character's created, I'm up and running, great, loving it, absolutely brilliant, having a whale of a time. It's just that initial, and with lack of time in the hobby, when I've got like an afternoon or half an afternoon to spare towards doing some hobby, the last thing I really want to be doing is going through books, trawling through books, consulting tables and that kind of thing, just to get a character together before I can even play. That is a point where pre-gen characters come into their own. Yes, I know. A lot of games have them, and I'm thankful for them. And I have made use of them over the years. But for me, my greatest enjoyment comes from starting a character from scratch, level 1, building him up, see how far we can go before he dies or she dies, whatever. And I derive a lot of enjoyment from that. And I suspect I might not be the only one. So what I do now is, when I go to bed, I just go to bed maybe half hour earlier than I used to. Instead of sitting up reading a book, a story, or, trawling through YouTube or whatever, I'm getting the books out, writing down all the stuff I need to know. I'm reading through what backgrounds I want to do. I'm considering what background I want for my character. I'm really building my character up in my head, and I will do that for a few characters. Then I've got 3 in the bag, or however many I want to do, and then we're off. So if I started with one character and I'm playing, and that character happens to die, I can go to one of my other pre-made characters, go to them, and I'll know them, or I will know them quite well, because I will have rolled them up and created them according to the specific rule set of D&D at the moment. Now, something like like werewolf, vampire, that kind of thing, the old storyteller stuff, I can do in minutes, and I can just do it like that, no problem at all. I think, oh, that one works, dies. All right, I'll try this one. Yeah, that would be better. You know, I can just keep doing it that way. I don't really need to pre-roll characters in those games. I can just get on with it as I go, off the cuff, pretty much. Talking of werewolf and vampire and any other sort of storyteller era, no, that's not right, genre game, guess who's decided they want to get back into it? Me. I got rid of my most of my storyteller books a long time ago, but I kept a few. The ones I kept, I don't know why I kept these particularly, but I just didn't get around to selling them, was the World of Darkness book there. So Vampire the Requiem, I don't even know what edition that is, but that one. And Werewolf the Forsaken. Didn't enjoy that as much as the Apocalypse. I got some character sheets for it there as well. I have to say I didn't enjoy the Forsaken as much as the Apocalypse. I liked. Now I know this is a contentious area. You know, it's kind of a somewhat of a polarizing topic. I'm just gonna have some tea in a minute. But for me, I enjoyed the sort of hopelessness, if you will, of the werewolves in, you know, the Apocalypse, where they're pretty much, you know, they're outnumbered, they're outgunned, they're it's like a bit like, felt like Rorke's Drift, you know, like, you know, in the face of adversity, where all their enemies are around them, and I like that feeling that it evoked of sort of hopelessness almost, but you know, it made me want to fight the good fight and, you know, win some points back for the good guys. You know, that's how it made me feel anyway. And I have had many good games over the years with that particular game. So I thought, you know, now that I'm into this whole solo thing, and I'm thinking solo, play the D10 system that they used to use, and the skill-based mechanic probably be because it's similar to, very similar in fact, to Call of Cthulhu. It'd be a very good system to use for solo play. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I know I've got all of these grandiose ideas. The main thing I want to do at the moment, or the next thing I want to do, is play Dungeons and Dragons. And so that's going to be taking up time. But in the meantime, I've got a lot of books to get. And these are books I know I can get because I've owned them before. It's not like I'm getting anything new. I'm not stepping into the unknown here. I'll be getting, you know, stuff I got before. Although that said, I am keen to try the 5th edition Apocalypse, see what that's about, see what that's like, and then see if there's a see how it measures up. Because I always used to like games of werewolf and vampire combined. Play both, you know, purist, but I've also combined them. The combined ones are very fun. In fact, I think I preferred the combined ones. And of course, we've chopped and changed over the years. You know, Mage, Wraith. I didn't enjoy Wraith so much. I found that very strange, very weird. Again, I just couldn't get my head into it at the time. But you know, and there's all sorts, isn't there? I quite liked Mage. I can remember doing Werewolf, Vampire, Mage, and we were talking about Mummy as well, but I never got around to playing it, so I don't know what it's like. But anyway, as I say, there are an awful lot of rule books and campaign books and game books, just extra material to get. I'm hoping that some of the old stuff can be easily converted to the new stuff, because that's always good if it's easily convertible. I've got other stuff as well that I'm in the process of collecting at the moment, So D&D, you know, I've got the third edition core rulebooks. Well, I'm in the process of collecting 3.5. So I've got the Dungeon Master book and the Monster Manual here. I have sort of bought and ordered from eBay the Player's Handbook, but it just hasn't turned up, and I've had to open up a case against that one because it hasn't turned up. Hoping it will turn up, but if it doesn't, I'll just keep searching. I've never played 3.5, and I've never played 4th edition either. I've heard good and bad about it, so it'll be an experience as well. I've played 3rd edition, tiny bit of 2nd edition. 1st edition D&D was by far my favourite. When I say favourite, I mean I had my best games with that. Most memorable, I suppose I've played the most games in my life of 1st, even now, because I played a lot. Back in the day, lived and breathed D&D. It was it's all we ever did, apart from school. For a time, yeah, we were total addicts. But yeah, so that aside, those were simpler days, weren't they? That aside, so my advice on creating characters, if you find it a little bit of a chore with some of the slightly more in-depth rules, do it in bed instead of doing something else like reading or watching TV or whatever, your pastime before you go lay down to go to sleep is. I've accomplished quite a bit doing that. A lot of the time, because of the way my brain is these days, most of my time just is taken up with just mulling things over. What do I really want for this character? What background do I want? Do I want them to have, like some sort of tragedy in their life, or do I want them to come from like a rich family or an urchin off the street? All these things I want to do in preparation for my campaign, because some of them will have effects on the character stats, and I want to get that all done now, so I'll be well prepared by the time I come to start playing my game. I've got the first scene all ready to go. I've got everything I need for it, I believe. So that's going to be good, and I'm going to be using Mythic and a deck of cards. And anything I'm not going to be, obviously I can't use every tool at my disposal for every scene or every game, but I'm gonna have Mythic and I'm gonna have a deck of cards, and I'm just gonna chop and change between the two at a whim. Later on, if I want to use story dice or other dice, dungeon generator dice, trap dice, anything like that, I'm just gonna use them as and when. If I'm going to use tables, random generate tables for, I don't know, name of an inn or something. I've got so many to choose from. I'll just pick at random what tables and what books I want to use. And that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to use a bit here, a bit there, mix it together, see what comes out. Anyway. So that's it. So, that's my little tip for trying to get some of the more mundane stuff. If you find stuff like character creation for a slightly more complex game, not that D&D is complex, but I find the character creation process a bit complex. Not complicated, but just a bit of a dirge sometimes, then do it in bed, right, before you lay down. Before you know it, end of the week, you've got your characters all done, all that stuff's done, ready to go, weekend's here, boom, let's go, let's play. And whether you're playing solo or whether you're taking a character to a game with a group of friends or whatever, you've done the hard work, and that's it, all ready to do. All you've got left to do is play and have fun. Anyway, my friends, that's what I wanted to talk about on this episode of RPG Kickstart. Hope it's been of some use. If not, I've got that off my chest anyway. But thank you ever so much for watching. Do remember all brushes lead to war, and I've got my fighting pit on the bench, so watch out for that. That's going to be in a future scene of my D&D campaign, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, Till next time, my friends, bye for now. Bye bye.